All right, Bill Henshaw here again, Constitutional Coop Headquarters, with more current events and recent news. And I've got a great one here, especially if it applies in your jurisdiction, which I don't know. But we have another great way to flat out win a case outright, perhaps even a criminal case before it really gets going, and a subsequent petition for redress of grievance in which we can make big bucks. You're going to love it. And I have a case ongoing in Wisconsin now. That's the astounding amount of ignorance displayed there by official actors, quote unquote, just gets more amazing by the day. That said, I recently came across a news report, and wouldn't you know, it involves the same local dumbass that's involved in this Wisconsin case, and it involves the John Doe grand jury procedure, perhaps peculiar to Wisconsin. I'm not aware of it in California. If you are in your jurisdiction, I'd love to hear it. And as you'll hear before the video is over, I think we can do it, but in a much different context. Here, what happened was you had another law enforcement thug out there, committing murders of innocent people, I think two or three in this case. And this local DA, Larry Chisholm, will not indict him. And that's in large part because of the powerful PAC the law enforcement thugs have in Madison, Wisconsin. And you go against them, and next thing you know, next election, you're out of there. Not to mention the fact there are no quote unquote elections, a video update for another time. But this is how it is. So Wisconsin has this thing in place, John Doe Grand Jury, where one judge, one black robe bastard, can overrule the decision of the DA and file charges, maybe even present it to a grand jury. I'm not sure about that part. The big deal here is, think about this. If we're in states admitted into this union, how is it that a single member of the quote unquote judicial department of government could outright overrule the decision of an executive officer like a DA? People, have you ever heard of separation of powers here? Jeez Louise, it can't happen. Even if it looks good on paper, and so much as BS military government does looks good on paper, but not in the way it's applied to you, me, and everyone else. So that said, I'm keeping close tabs on this, and we'll see what happens. But we make the argument that, you know, especially in Wisconsin, these people know about this, and they have to know. I mean, they've been to law school 4 to 6 years, right? I've never been to law school. I got 5 decades of independent, passionate research of the Constitution, laws, and history of the United States. But this is something that should be relatively obvious in Constitutional Law 101, assuming they teach it anymore. And, Starboard, Bale, UC, Berserkly. And Berserkly, by the way, just recently downgraded the only course they have on constitutional law to an elective. Well, that makes sense. Why the hell do you want to pay them $500 or $600 or whatever for a course and law that's not being used anymore? Ain't. See you later. That's how bad it's getting in America, and we have to start taking action there and working together, by the way, across the board. Asians, Africans, and Americans, and cut out this divide and conquer BS, like I've been saying for the last year, and go after them this way, where we have real rights that we can enforce even in their corrupt courts, let alone our own court. A video for another day upcoming. You're going to love this one. But that said, separation of powers, that's so obvious that a classroom full of fifth graders is going to understand this, even if law school graduates don't. And I'm sending a follow up in my Wisconsin case. I just got an embarrassingly bad letter from the Office of the Attorney General, basically telling me to get lost and referred me to the Attorney Referral Service, just as if they're going to be any more help than trial counsel was in this case by selling his client out in a court that he knew or should have known didn't have jurisdiction, just like the damn judge should, neutral magistrate according to the Supreme Court, and a local dumbass. They don't know they don't have jurisdiction here. Jeez, have we come a long way since the founding. So that said, and as you know in earlier videos, if you've been watching, you know that looks like the Supreme Court now has our backs. I'd hoped to see more evidence of that before the recent term just closed, although you'll notice that Breyer is still on the court, an interesting subject matter in itself. And I'm not sure I'm going to be doing an upcoming video on that, so stay tuned. That has lots of nuanced meanings there, any one of which could be accurate. So we will see how it goes. But when they cited Cohen's v. Virginia and that Texas v. California case that I did a video on earlier, and that's talking like me, exactly the same source. People are like, oh, that's old case law. They don't use that anymore. The Supreme Court just did 5 weeks ago, and they can't have cited that case, Cohen's v. Virginia. By the way, if you want information, you know, on my modestly priced document material, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, and I'll send you my take as part of my response to what's going on with the U.S. Supreme Court. You're going to love it. I think for the first time now in 150 plus years, they're prepared to finally do their sanctimoniously self-declared job to say what the law is. If that happens, there's every hope we can get our nation and republic back and get up and damn democracy. 3 wolves, 2 sheep voting on what's for dinner. That's all they think it is. The elections not only mean nothing, there are no elections. I'll be doing an updated video on that one for you. No elections whatsoever. It isn't the way it works. And that, I mean, the bottom line, and that undoes the entire system. If that's the only thing they have for consent of the government, see you later. Out of here. So all of this ties together with what I'm talking about with this John Doe procedure. And heaven only knows why Wisconsin even enacted such a thing, and or maybe your jurisdiction did. I don't know. I'm not aware of it in California, and I think by now I would be. But it's just crazy, you know, and that's putting it politely. So they know from day one if they can commit errors like this, and the judge has unfettered discretion to overturn the decision of an executive officer of government. That can't be right. You know, as good as it might be in certain cases, it's not how it works. And for me, much more to the point, and especially in the Wisconsin case, is a quote that I have, one of the rare ones I do not have from the U.S. Supreme Court, and I'd love to have it, but nevertheless, trial court in Montana, federal judge, and threw out an indictment because, you know, the guy was convicted of murder in a Montana state court, but the Montana State Supreme Court reversed it, you know, saying that, you know, when Montana came into the Union, a fairly recent event at the time, you know, they ceded jurisdiction to the United States over this federal, you know, military base. Well, the feds filed charges, and evidently the same attorney comes along and says to the federal judge, not so fast. When Montana came into the Union, they did cede civil jurisdiction, but not criminal jurisdiction. The judge, in dismissing the indictment and throwing the case out, and this is a verbatim quote, you know, a lot more of these black road bastards like this these days, said that it's unfortunate that a murderer should go unwhipped of justice, but more unfortunate that a court without jurisdiction should exercise it. Cases Tully v. U.S., 140 Federal Reporter, 899, page 905. And that's the way I see it. It's a very hard line to take. And that's why I spent 7 months as a political prisoner, by the way, in South Carolina. I'll tell you more about that on an upcoming video, exactly how that happened and why. But they knew from day one, the first 30 seconds I was in there, I shut them down. It was stunning. That's $1 million video if I had it. And they claim not to have made one. It's in the court record. But 30 seconds. And they charged me, you know, practicing law without a license, which is a felony there. And I'm the one there, manacled hands and foot, red jail suit. I laughed. And I said, geez, I don't practice it. I get it right the first time. And then the judge went on, and I think she was one of the good ones, and said, well, we have to determine whether you're competent to represent yourself. And if I could have thrown my hands up, I would have. And I said, oh, here we go, Barthetta. That's the Ferretti v. California case, Judge 422 U.S. 806. The problem you have there is that the Supreme Court ruled in Barron v. Baltimore, 7 Peters 243, 1828, that the Bill of Rights doesn't apply to the states stunned the whole courtroom into silence. They had never seen anything like that, and they didn't know what to do. The local dumbass there didn't say two words to me the entire remainder of the time I was there, 5 months, didn't know what to do, how to act, or anything. Just that's the kind of power we have, and that's what I want you to experience. And you don't have to be near as good as I am to do it either. The ignorance is colossal on the other side. And anyone that comes in there can talk about 2 or 3 of the issues that I advocate, and you'll learn about all of them. Send me an email, youwinincourt@gmail.com. I'll send you info on my constitutional defense document packets and some bonus documents to help get you started on your way here. So it's a whole new world out there when you know. And that's what they don't want you to know. And that, by the way, to me, is a big reason why we get all this. I've been in California 40 years now. Can't believe I'm saying that. And now all of a sudden we have an outbreak of anti Asian American hate crimes, anti Semitic hate crimes. I mean, you name it. And apparently it's going spreading across the board. And that to me is an admission by the New York banksters that the Constitution still exists, because the last thing they want you to know is that lawful de jure, jus sanguinis, free white state citizens have creator endowed and alienable rights that we can enforce against them. And many of these, by the way, also belong to inhabitants of territories. The right to trial by jury according to the courts of the common law. That's the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. Yet they're nowhere in sight in what pretend to be states these days. These are the kind of issues you raise, and you're going to stop them dead in their tracks too, like I've been able to do. And that's the only time, by the way, I've ever gotten into jail in the 5 decades I've been doing this. I can't get into jail here in California. I found it impossible to do, but these idiots in South Carolina, the cradle of states' rights, not that anyone had a clue about that while I was back there 5 years ago, but it was an astounding experience, and it really was. And I'll have another video update on that for you, and for more than one reason, the next time I do videos. And I'm getting a little astray here. I've been known to do that sometimes. But this John Doe grand jury stuff, and let me tell you why I think that we can do it. You can't assign that power to an official, elected, appointed, or otherwise, from another department of government. It doesn't work that way. But as I just said, with us being lawful de jure, just sanguinis, free white state citizens, we can go in there and do it as a private attorney general. And I'm addressing that issue right now with the current U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland. And the more I see of this bastard, the more thankful I am he did not get appointed to the Supreme Court 4 years ago. Republicans refused to hold any hearings and held the seat open after Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. So that was a good break for us. Because this guy is a run-of-the-mill bureaucrat, doesn't know, doesn't care, doesn't think he has to care. And that's the big change we want to see, and I can help you to make. And say, not only wait just to not so fast here, we have creator endowed and alienable rights. If you violate them and you have a sworn oath of office to do exactly the opposite, that's when Pandora's box starts to open and we get some real changes made, and we get on the road to returning to our Republican form of government of defined and limited powers. That's what it takes. Whether I'll be here long enough to see it, I don't know. I figure with family genes and history, I've got a good 8 or 10 years, maybe a little more, to give them hell and to teach you how to do it, and at least set the path so you can follow me, and it'll be a lot easier to do with all the hard work I put in over the course of 5 decades. So that said, any of you that have something like this, John Doe grand jury, please let me know in your jurisdiction. I'd be interested to know that, and I'll follow up on it. But this is a dead bang giveaway. I don't see how they don't understand this. I mean, they've been to law school 4 to 6 years and they don't get this. Oh, Lord. Anyway, as I said, we all have to work together here. That's, Asians, Americans, Africans, and cut out this, divide and conquer crap and stand up for our rights. In particular, we have to do it as free white citizens because we're the ones, that created this nation and republic. And as members of the sovereign body politic, we have a peculiarly strong obligation, if not duty, to stand up and do it. And everyone else can follow us. We get a couple of these decisions on the record, which is all it takes. Because one of them is, especially with the 9 parts, binding case law from Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon. That's the power we have. And I've seen it, first rate and on several occasions outside of South Carolina. Hell, I beat Stanford University in a labor arbitration at Stanford for $100,000 for crying out loud. And we filed a suit to sue them, raising a lot of the issues that I know now. But at this time, in 2007, I wasn't fully up to speed on state versus territorial like I am. But we're going after the bastards now full speed, no statute of limitations. And as you know, if you've been following videos, you know that we absolutely won our Oakland case when they made a sweetheart time-served plea deal and let my friend go because they knew they couldn't prevent me, most particularly, from testifying as an expert witness on the Constitution in front of a jury. And my 2 friends involved there, the kid that was in jail and his mom, are pretty up to speed too. That would have been 3 of us. And we would have had affidavits on all of these acts of treason that had been committed during the course of the proceedings. And they would have been relevant and admissible. That's why they did it, and that's why they're going to pay for it big time. That's in process as we're speaking, updates when they occur. So sorry I've gone on here a little bit, but you get the idea. If you know your rights, you're in good shape. If you don't, see you later. Might as well emigrate over to Beijing and claim to be a American Chinese and claim to have creator endowed and inalienable rights and see how far you get over there. Good luck with that, or any other nation for that matter, especially Pyongyang, North Korea. What does it take for us to take them out militarily? 15 minutes to half an hour? Give me a break. We were involved in the quote-unquote Korean War for years when none of that should happen. That's a story for another day, but trust me, the UN peacekeeping effort never declared state of war, and it's still in existence, by the way. Well, a closing thought here, by the way, is I'm also convinced that the war between the states has not come to a close. I found no evidence of a treaty between the Confederate States of America and the United States. If you have one, I'd love to see it. Because I think these bastards think this is still going on, and they're still relying on the Lieber Code issued by Abraham Lincoln as the first presidential executive order. Again, that's a video for another day, but that's what I think is going on here, and with very good reason to think that. So, like I said, send me an email, youwinincourt@gmail.com. Like the video, subscribe, tell your friends, get the word out. The more of us that start doing this and working together, the quicker we get these bastards off our back. Thank you.